Now, speaking of grapes and grapes turning into wine, we have four wines that are turning up in our market very, very soon. I believe the very first one is or actually by the end of the year, we have the Langhe Rosso, which you have a bottle of it right there.
Yes,
You have
is
to, I
this
can't
one?
see the whole bottle. Yes, yeah, I love the packaging on this one. I love
Thank
the
you.
very, very modern packaging. What was the thinking behind that?
There is, this is a Langhe Rosso, and we also make a box. Look,
Look at
and
that. Yes.
I
Five
really
liters.
hope
I
that
don't think we get that in Canada. That would be a good thing.
I I
Yeah.
hope in future. It is
Yeah.
just this is just a new project just started, and I will speak about that as well.
But it makes so
So
much sense because I mean it keeps it so fresh in that, you know, the
yeah,
technology in those boxes has come such a long way. And it for a wine like the Langhe Rosso, it's just perfect.
yes, and then we also thought about the problem that we are facing, and is becoming harder and harder, and it is the environment.
Of course,
So
yes, yeah.
that's the reason we started with this new pack. The Langhe Rosso is our flag product, let's say,
Yeah.
because I can't say it's an entry level, but it is one of the most affordable of our wines.
Yep.
And it is made using our three red grapes, Dolcetto, Barbera, and Nebbiolo. We started to make this wine like 10, 12 years ago. And the project was to welcome new consumers, but younger consumers,
Yeah,
to
I can see that. Yeah.
wines from Le Langhe. That was the time when Piemonte was considered the region of very tough wines. And my idea was to convince people that we can also have a very round and pleasant wines, maintaining the characters and the typicity of our region. So our Langhe Rosso is made with mainly Dolcetto, like 60%, 60 to 65, depending on the vintage, some Barbera, and some Nebbiolo. Normally, the blend is made with the wines ready, because Nebbiolo is picked later than Dolcetto and Barbera. So we pick the Dolcetto and the Barbera, and we make the winemaking together, and then we add the Nebbiolo. The quantity of Nebbiolo that we add, it is the final part, is related to the style of the wine. So it's not always the same percentage, but it is really for the quantity of tannins that we wanted to give to the wine, because it wants to be a softer wine compared to other products from our region. And the result was really exciting, because people welcomed this wine a lot, and now is probably our most sold wine. In particular, it is really appreciated for aperitif consumption, bread and butter wine. So it's not a wine that necessarily need food for being paired, but it could also be just a good glass of wine in company, and this was our goal.
Now, I think you told me this story before, but what is the meaning behind the name? Is that ne as in, you have to tell me.
Ne is a word that has no meaning, actually.
Okay.
But we use it in our slang for enforcing the positivity of the conversation. So when we have something very positive to say, yes, we use this little word before or after. So this is very good. Ne.
Right.
Okay?
Right. I get it. Yes.
And we never use it for negative situation.
Okay.
Why we decided to use this word? Because only in Piemonte, but mainly in Le Langhe region, we use this word. And in all Italy, people understand that we are coming from this area because we use this word without thinking. It is in our conversation. And And it is very short, it's easy to remember, and that's the reason I decided to use the word without using dialect, because dialect, is something different.
No, it gives the wine a very contemporary look as well. It's cool. Something else that's coming out actually this month is your Barbaresco 2014. Tell us a little bit about that, because you're quite proud of that one, I believe.
Yes, to be honest, I am really proud of vintage 2014.
Yeah.
Because it got not a really great reputation at the beginning,
I remember, yeah.
People were, especially the press, was saying that it was too wet, too cold. But in the Barbaresco region, we got less rain in 2014 than 2013. So it was not so wet. On top of that, the temperature was not so cold, because in 2014 we got the same average temperature of 1982, and 1982 was considered a warm vintage. This is really something that shows how our climate is changing.
Yes. Yep.
So how we are used now to have a hotter season, and to me, the 2014 reminds a very classical season for Barbaresco, with a very nice elegance, with sensation of fruit, of sensation of flowers, and a light underwood, but really light. We get more the berries and the elegance of this appellation. I always say that Barbaresco has really the force of the elegance, and this is the peculiarity we should never forget. Leaving this, we leave the Barbaresco, because a Barbaresco that want to show big shoulders and super big tannins doesn't represent the typicity of this variety and this area,
But there have been many Barbarescos made in that style in the past, for sure.
Oh, yes. We had a time in our region that the idea was to make a Barbaresco with Barolo shoulders.
Yeah.
And to me, this is really mistaken, because I think that they are two wines with different identities. Barolo is obviously big shoulders, big power, but only with a very, very long aging can show the elegance of a Barbaresco, and even not always. Barbaresco is more delicate, more complex, with with this super big power in aromas and the perfume sensations that always get back with the aftertaste. So giving a lot of extraction, a lot of power, we really miss that part that is the treasure to me for this wine. And so I always try to maintain this typicity, and this peculiarity is very strong. This is even the reason I decided to age my wine much longer than what is normal, because 2014 is the current release. I mean, it's not a wine that has been left and then get back on the market. We are going to be out with the new vintage 2015 at the end of the year, and for 2014 Campo Quadro, which is the other Barbaresco we are going to speak about, we decided to release it earlier than 2013, because I think that it's important to propose the wine to the consumer, to people, when the wine is understandable and when it is already appreciable. Because we haven't anymore the tradition of buying the wine and keep it years and years in cellar. Many people have no cellar. They just have a little room for keep their own wine. And so why we should ask them to do what we have to do
No, I
towards the
understand.
wine?
And you know, releasing those wines at different times makes complete sense to me, because all of these vintages and different vineyard plots evolve at very different speeds, do they not?
Yes, obviously, because every situation is even different. So what is very important is to respect the peculiarity of the vintage, to respect the peculiarity of the vineyard as well, and to give the right time to everything. When I started with this idea, it was many years ago. It was the beginning of the 90s. At that time, you know, I was very young, and I was trying to propose my wines when not ready, but when ready for the market, maybe. I understood that this was a mistake, because maybe for the practices that we're using, maybe for the vineyard, how they are worked, our wines need time.
Yes.
They need time.
Yep.
So I made this big investment of having room for keeping the wine, having wood for refining the wine. And I decided for 2 years not to release any Barbaresco. It was the first step. Obviously, at the beginning was quite hard. I should say that I had to even to ask to the bank to support.
Well, I was about to
me in
say
this.
that because that's a lot of money you're sitting on for a long time, right?
Yes, but it was just the beginning, because now we got to this way, and so the investment is there. We know that
Yeah, for sure.
that is a positive investment. Honestly, the biggest investment was to convince people that our wines were not old, but were refined. Because at the beginning, people were saying, "Why are you putting out this wine that everyone is proposing the current vintage?" And I had to explain, but I even had to prove.
Yes, I mean, it's a matter of
proving.
Education for people to
Yes.
understand what you're doing there, which is interesting, because that's the way it used to be done a long time ago, right?
Yes, you know, I started to make wine because of my grandparents,
Yeah.
because I grew up in the vineyards and saw them making wine. And in particular, my grandfather was saying that the wine should lay in a cask for a long time, and then you should spend the same time in bottle before drinking.
Oh yeah, I've heard
Because
that before.
yeah, and this is what we are doing actually. Yeah. So if a wine stays 3 years in wood, it gets 3 years of bottle refining before being released. This allows the wine to get back to the condition of that he got at the end of the wood refining.
Now,
have you ever tasted a just bottled Barbaresco or Barolo?
I have when I've been visiting, because I used to come over for Nebbiolo Prima.
Yeah, and
so it's I didn't. I mean, as much as I enjoyed Nebbiolo Prima, I didn't enjoy the tasting aspect of it very much, for very obvious reasons.
Yeah, because the wines doesn't show all the potential, all the characters that could have. Yeah.
Oh. Now we have 2 wines that are currently in transit somewhere on the ocean, I believe.
I know, that's the big problem.
I don't ask about where they are right now, but one of them is the Campo Quadro that you mentioned, the Reserva. Now, would you mind speaking about the difference between those 2 Barbarescos? Both the names.
I even show them.
Oh, lovely.
This is the Barbaresco Campo Quadro. Can you see it?
Yep. Oh, yes.
And just a second. This is the Barbaresco Bazarin.
Right.
So these 2 wines come. I'm not sure that the word is right, but they are picked in 2 different areas of the same hill. Bazarin is one of the mega. Are you familiar with this word?
Yes, yeah.
And San Cristoforo is the other one. San Cristoforo is the upper side of the hill and the little southeastern, while Bazarin goes from southeast to southwest. The difference in between the two is that the rock line is much deeper in Bazarin than in San Cristoforo. The rock line, you know, we have this marble that is a semi-rock because it's not so hard. But however, it is even the main peculiarity of our land. And inside of San Cristoforo, we own this historical vineyard, which is called the Campo Quadro. Campo Quadro could have a double meaning because quadro in our language, in Italian, means squared,
Yeah.
but also painting. And when you are in the vineyard, you always ask yourself, maybe the name is because I am in the middle of a painting, or maybe because it is almost squared. So the vineyard has an average age of 65 years, and we are used to replace plants when they die. So some of them are younger, but the youngest are not used for making Barbaresco, but Langhe Nebbiolo. And normally this wine has very big tannins, and it is a quite tough product because the rock line there is really on surface, almost 1 meter and 20 centimeters deep.
Right.
So the roots are running on the rock, getting a lot of salts together with the nutrition. And this wine shows a big complexity, a very intense aroma, and it takes a little longer than Bazarin to be ready for being released. 2014 to me was quite interesting because in spite of the cold sensation that everyone was speaking about, we have a lot of softness, a lot of roundness in this wine. And it is really charming. I think it could be even appreciated by people that are not real connoisseurs of Nebbiolo, because Nebbiolo, you know, you must be a little familiar with for appreciating.
Yes, yeah, I understand. I'm looking forward to tasting these two because I've always found this trademark elegance in all of your wines since I first started tasting your wines. And there's something about your wines that really, for me, almost brings the calcium-rich soils of Barbaresco to the glass more so than any other producer. There's a certain lift in your wine, like a mineral lift in your wines that I've always adored. So I'm looking forward to tasting those two when they arrive, if they arrive. I'm sure they will.
Oh, they will arrive, I hope.
Now finally,
this is a while that they are on the water,
especially right now. Yes, finally, and to wrap things up, we're looking at the Barbera d'Alba. Now, Barbera is one of those sorts of grapes that I don't think ever gets enough praise. But you love your Barbera.
I love my Barbera.
Yes.
I think that, you know, I put a lot of energy on Barbera, and this is the only wine that we sell really young, so fresh. We only use cement for the fermentation.
Yes.
Because it is more neutral, and it is a really frank container. So we use it for the fermentation and we use it for the aging, even though the aging is just 6 months. My idea of the Barbera is a wine that to put everyone together around the table, you know, a wine for joining, for sharing, a wine for drinking in the real way. As a matter of fact, I have a way for tasting the Barbera before releasing, and I prepare it. I keep the wine from the tank directly, and I prepare a meal, just putting on the table all these bottles, inviting people that are not wine people, just friends, in particular
Yes.
my husband friends that are used to enjoy the wine. And then I see what happens. If at the end of the meal all the bottles are empty, I will bottle my wine.
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah, because this should be an enjoyable product.
Yes, yeah.
I am not a fan of super big barberas with the wood, because I think it is important to show the berries, the frankness of this
And that
wine.
kind of wonderful juiciness that comes
Yes.
from Barbera, the
Yes.
fleshy juiciness. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I absolutely love it. I'm very much looking forward to tasting all of these wines when I have the opportunity. Marina, thank you very much for joining us at Good Food Revolution today. I'm sorry we had some technical difficulties at the very beginning.
Yeah, so sorry about that.
No,
but,
no. We worked everything out. We worked everything.
You know, I am a winemaker, but with informatica, it is a little problem. And
Marina, it's lovely to catch up with you again. Let's do this more often. And when the world opens up, we'll see you back over here in Toronto.
I hope, really. I miss my trips. I really miss to meet these wonderful people when I was there. It was 2 years ago last time.
Oh, it was 2 years the last time. Okay. Well,
yeah.
We miss you a lot over here. We will see you when you do return. And thank you very much for joining us at Good Food Revolution today.
Thank you so much for the time. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. Bye.
Stay safe over there.
Ciao.